Yes, I lost 120 pounds, but I want to share with you what I wish I'd known before I lost the weight, or at least on that journey, because it would have been so much easier. Okay, let's go. Hey, so as I said, I lost 120 pounds. Let me introduce myself so you know exactly who I am and why I'm talking about this. So my name is Ilika Follette, and I'm a mom of four. Busy lifestyle, especially back then. Now I give myself a little bit of grace, but I was super busy, right? And so I always made excuses. But in about a year's time, I lost 120 pounds with healthy keto eating, right? I ate what came from the earth, what walks on the earth and the sea. I wasn't eating all that processed crap, right? Exercising and a lot of mindset shifts. I had to change my relationship with food in order for any of this to work, right? So I lost that weight and kept it off for several years. And of course, became a personal trainer, health coach, mindset coach, all the things, and help thousands of women do the exact same thing. And so now I share a lot of that on YouTube and also in my memberships. I don't do any one-on-one coaching anymore, but I do still have like a membership where we're keeping ladies accountable, keeping them on their journey, and we host challenges on a regular basis so that we get this thing moving, right? Because as a woman over 40, I get it. And I get how hard this can be. And so we get to do this together, right? Have that accountability, that support, that guidance, and that community to stay on this journey, stay motivated, actually get results and lose that extra weight and keep it off for good this time. All right, so go to ilikafollette.com. I think it should be written around here. You can also find the description of the video, and let's make this happen. Also, comment if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm on this journey and I really want to get these tips, because honestly, it's feeling hard right now and I want to figure out how to make it easier, right? So let me share these tips right now. Let me get right into how we can make it easier on this journey. First, let me fix my shirt because it was weird. Anyway, let's talk about how we can make it easier on this journey, all right? So I actually made some notes today because I was like, let me write down all the things that were like in the way, right? So the first thing that I'm going to talk about that made things easier for me, actually the last one you definitely don't want to miss, so make sure you stay tuned. But the first one I'm going to talk about is loose skin. All right, so I've got tons of videos about loose skin, and how I had to have like loose skin surgery to remove the loose skin and all this stuff, and how that process was not fun, right? And so I talk to so many people all the time, and they're like, you know what? I don't want to have skin removal surgery. Like, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to have all this extra skin. And I don't want to have a big head. And I don't want to, everybody's got all this stuff that they're afraid is going to happen after they lose the weight. So first, let me say, number one, man, being healthier is so much better than the issues that I was having before. Because here's the thing, I was actually a pretty healthy, overweight person. I never had issues with diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, any of that stuff, right? I had some knee issues. My knees were hurting, my back was hurting, all that stuff. But I didn't have like those health issues that everybody talks about. But the likelihood is that they would have come. Because let's just be honest with ourselves, right? We know that the probability of getting some of those issues is more likely when we're overweight and if we're eating, poorly, right? Being overweight doesn't necessarily mean you're eating poorly, but if you are and you're overweight, you're more inclined to get some of those issues, right? So the fact that, having that was not something I wanted. So I just always say, like, what would I trade, right? Would I trade the loose skin for the the issues? Yes, I would have loose skin all day long to not have some of the things that could have possibly happened to me if I kept the weight on, right? So there it is, end of day. Anyway, so one thing I want to say about loose skin is I really didn't have to have as much as I had. So I know that sounds crazy because everybody you know who lost weight had loose skin, right? Especially lost a significant amount of weight, 50 pounds or more, right? But I want to tell you, there are ways to get around that now that we just did not know, right? Like there's so many different things, from types of food you can eat, and you can do all the research in the world, right? Where I could do a whole nother video on how to avoid loose skin. But types of foods you're gonna eat, the way that you're managing and working your skin, how much water you're drinking, how you're staying hydrated, right? There's so many things. Lymphatic massages and other like skin treatments that you can do that have nothing to do with surgery. There's so much that you can actually do to avoid loose skin. So if I wish I had known that there was a way to not have loose skin, because I would have done that and not had to deal with the skin removal surgery and all the crap that I had to deal with after that. You can go back and watch my videos from last year, but it was awful, right? So you don't have to have loose skin. That's number one, right? Something that nobody talks about. Everybody just assumes. I mean, and even how you lose the weight, whether you're doing strength training while losing the weight, like how much your muscle to fat ratios, like all of that stuff is important, and it actually contributes to loose skin or lack thereof, right? Because you'll notice that people who have like weight loss surgery and stuff like that are usually more inclined to have loose skin, many times because they're not doing strength training. And also they're not getting the nutrients that they need because the way that the weight loss surgery works and stuff like that. I have a whole video on that, but basically at the end of the day, loose skin is avoidable. I know it's crazy, but anyways, number 2 is a big one, right? And basically it is loving yourself at every stage. So this is something that I caught on to late in the process, right? I was so busy hating different parts of my body. Like I was telling my daughter the other day how I would not wear, well, I wasn't telling my daughter, sorry, I was telling my husband that I would not wear shorts for so long. And my daughter kept asking me, Mommy, why don't you wear shorts? Mommy, why don't you wear shorts? You know, and I just thought, and I realized, so at first I was just like, oh, and I wouldn't say, I would just like, oh, I just don't like wearing shorts. I'd rather wear pants, blah, blah, right? Or I'd like to wear a dress. You know, I'd always have some sort of excuse. But as she got older, because this is even post losing the weight, I would never wear shorts. And she kept asking and wondering. And at the end of the day, it was because I didn't like the way my legs looked, right? Before it was because I didn't like the way they looked, you know, being overweight and all the cellulite, and I had tons of varicose veins and all this stuff. And so I just hated the way it looked, and so I wouldn't wear them. But what I had to learn is that if I can't love me now, and this is something you can take with you, if you can't love you now, you're not going to love you after the fact. So the reason I bring that up, okay, so I didn't love my legs when I was overweight. When I lost the weight, guess what? I still had cellulite, had extra loose skin. I still didn't wear shorts because I couldn't stand the way my legs looked, right? So I had to get to a point, and this is well after the weight loss, that I had to literally look, and this is before I ever had skin removal surgery too, because I told myself, I challenged myself to love me where I was before I would ever have skin removal surgery or do anything else about it, right? And that's why it took me like 7 years before I kept the weight off for 7 years before I had skin removal surgery. I could have had it year 1 or year 2, but I chose to wait because I needed to truly love what I saw in the mirror before I did it, right? And even the legs, right? Even the legs that still had the cellulite, still had the extra skin, all that stuff. And so that was a big part. And so what I encourage people to do is to stand in the mirror bucket naked, right? Looking at yourself saying, I love me. Oh, look at my neck. I love the way it, you know, sits here. I don't know, right? Look at my my arms. I love the way that they push me up when I need it and they protect me. Look at my stomach. Look how strong it is. This is a stomach that held 4 children. 4 people that are absolutely amazing and walk on this earth came from here, right? And I have this extra because of them, and I'm okay with that. I love that came from them. I love anything that came from them because of them. You know, and so because I got to love these different parts of me, I got to love myself wholly. And now it's okay to change something. If you love yourself fully, it's okay to change. It's okay to decide, I love me and I would like to change this thing. And that is okay, right? So Second thing was, like I said, getting to love you at every stage, no matter how big you are, no matter how small you are, no matter what you want to change. If you love you here, you'll love you there. If you don't love you here, you're going to really struggle loving you there, just as I did. So I wish I'd known that, right? Number 3, stop working to a target. I know that sounds crazy. Stop working to get to 170 pounds or 130 pounds or whatever size you were when you were in 7th grade, right? Stop working to that specific target, because it ends up being a situation where you're disappointed if you don't hit it. And then you're never satisfied until you see 123 on that scale or whatever. Mine would never be 123 because I was 8 years old. I was probably 7 years old less. I was 123 pounds. But so that would never be my number. But whatever that is for you, right? We all have this number. When I started this journey, my number was 175, meaning because I'm nearly 6 feet tall, I wanted to get to 175 pounds, and I thought at that weight, I could finally be happy. And guess what? I never got there. Never got to 175. And for years, I was so disappointed in myself. I kept pushing, kept trying. I never even got under 200. And guess what? I felt better. My knees didn't hurt. I was stronger. I have tone. I feel good. I'm able to keep up with my kids. My health charts are amazing. The doctors say that I'm doing well, right? Everybody's like, oh, this is incredible, right? Of course, my BMI or whatever still says I'm overweight. Who the F cares, right? But at 200 pounds or 215 pounds even, which is like, that's the weight that feels good on me, I'm a high BMI, right? But if I sat there and stayed disappointed until I hit 175, which frankly, I haven't been that weight since I was like 11 years old, right? But if I'd been sitting there constantly trying to go and target that weight until when I was able to release that weight, I was able to release the stress and the pressure of that number, right? Because that number had a chokehold on me. It was like, right? It was like all over me. Like I couldn't do anything if I wasn't hitting that number, and I was constantly fighting for it. And all it did was set me up for disappointment, right? Because it was like I felt like I could not reach it. In order for me to reach it, like even getting below like 210 was like I had to eat perfectly. Like I couldn't, it couldn't be a lifestyle, right? Like if you ever watch any of my videos, I talk about making this a lifestyle, not a diet, and staying and getting in that like 200 even range. It was a diet. Like I had to, if like somebody came through, if it was my kid's birthday or something, they're like, hey mommy, have a piece of cake. No. Have a bite of my cake. No. Like I couldn't touch anything. Otherwise my body would be off. Like I would gain that extra like, pound or half a pound or whatever. Right. And it was like, I never felt comfortable. Like I couldn't be just a regular person doing that. And it was just too much because I was constantly trying to hit a target. So that's my story. So many times at the beginning, you need some sort of target, like 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever that number is. But as you continue on this journey, release that target and just continue working toward better health, right? Working toward feeling good. Because when you do that, what happens is maintenance becomes a little easier. Whereas when you're constantly working to this number, what happens when you hit your target? It's like, okay, done, all set, guys, I finished. I made it, And then you just go back to doing regular stuff, right? And you're never staying at that target. So let's get rid of working toward a target and just work toward a healthier you, feeling better every day, right? Progressing every day, enjoying the journey. And that allows it to become a lifestyle. So now it's not about getting to 175 or 130, whatever that number is for you. It's about looking great and feeling great. And guess what? I look great at 205 and 215, right? So it's like, that's what you get to do. You get to look great at whatever number you end up at. It doesn't need to necessarily be the number you were when you're 12 years old. All right. So getting rid of that target. That's the next tip. All right. So next thing I wish I'd have known before losing the weight or while on that journey is to craft in some cheat days. This actually goes with the last one, right? But craft in days that I could eat off plan. Because what would happen is we'd go on a vacation, right? Or something like that. And at first on vacations, I was like, I'm still being strict, right? Because I mean, remember, this is 120 pounds in about a year, right? And so in that time, like I am super strict, especially at the beginning. Like those first 3-4 months, I was so strict. It wasn't a game. I was working toward a target, right? Like I said, so I wasn't playing any games. And honestly, in the first few months, I think it is important to be pretty strict because you got to start setting and creating that the routines, right? The habits, the lifestyle. You start to set those rituals and those things that you do all the time to stick to it, right? So so that makes sense to kind of be more strict. But after a while, you want to start planning in times when you're not necessarily 100% doing it and make that a part of the lifestyle, right? Even if you do something where it's like 2 days a month, I'm going to eat, not necessarily as strict as possible. It doesn't mean you got to go all the way in and a full cheat day where you're like at the buffet and like piling 7 plates and just stuffing your face or joining an all you can eat contest, right? It doesn't mean that. But it means like, you know what? If I'm on strict keto, 2 days a month I can have sweet potato fries or sushi, or a slice of pizza that's not keto, right? Whatever that is for you, right? For me, I probably would try and stay, especially if you're trying to be gluten-free, probably try and stay away from the pizza. But, that's for some people who want to be gluten-free still. But you can still have the sweet potato fries in the pie, or sweet potato pie, no, not that. You can still have the sweet potato fries or a sweet potato and, sushi or something like that, right? So crafting in what that looks like for you. For some, it may be, hey, once a month, I'm going to go to Cold Stone and I'm going to get a Like It, cream cheese ice cream sundae, right? And I'm eating half of it. Like whatever that is for you, as long as it still fits into your lifestyle and as long as it doesn't like take you completely off plan, right? Because some people, if they even have a little bit of Cold Stone or a little bit of ice cream or something like that, they're done, it's over, right? They're in a restart on Monday, right? Restart on Monday. But for folks, for some, they can have a little bit and jump right back on it, like literally the next meal. So create it in a way that works for you. And the reason this is important is because if you don't fit it into your lifestyle, right, then what happens is if you do have a day where, oops, you just mess up, maybe at work they brought in, your favorite cake and you had a slice, right? You're gonna be beating yourself up all week. Like, I can't believe I did that. I've got no discipline, like all of these things, right? And you're beating yourself up for nothing. But if you plan some of that in, you're like, I know we're gonna have a celebration at work on Tuesday the 17th. So that'll be my day that I can have one, off-plan meal, right? Something like that, whatever that looks like. But be able to really craft it in as a part of your lifestyle, as a part of your week, so it feels normal. So you're not feeling like you're taken completely off, right, by it. And it may even mean, hey, I'm gonna have a slice of cake today. I know that because it's, so-and-so's birthday, and I may have an extra margarita or something, right? And so I should do a video about how to have your alcohol needed to. No, that's not how you say it. But anyways, how to have some alcohol, right, without all the extra sugar. Because it's something that I do, and I actually teach that in my membership as well. So, but yeah, you can actually comment below if you want to see a video about, how to have a drink and not fall completely off plan, right? So doing it without the extra sugars and all that extra stuff, all right? Anyways, let's keep going. So yeah, you don't want to be beating yourself up because you were slightly off plan or maybe you had a few drinks. So instead of that, craft that into your lifestyle, because you're not gonna, go from like being someone who eats whatever to all of a sudden being the most strict person in the world and do that forever, right? That's ridiculous to even assume. Some people, those 3 people in the world that's ever done, there are 3 people that have probably done that, right? I don't know those 3 people, but I'm sure somebody does. There's people who have actually done that, right? But the rest of us, we're gonna mess up a little bit. So craft that into your plan so you're not beating yourself up for it, right? So the last one, this is the biggest one. This one is super key, all right? So I want you to comment after you hear this, if this is something that you will do, because this is so important to do, right? So let me know if you're gonna do this now or if you've already done it, all right? Comment, because I actually read the comments and stuff, all right? So here it is. Create a trauma/stress relief like process for yourself, right? Create something that's gonna help you when stress comes your way or when major trauma comes your way. So this is super important. I wish I'd done this along my process. What has happened is actually twice during my journey, I gained weight back. And both times it was due to major trauma or stress, right? First time was the end of 2018. I gained about 30 pounds back, something like that. And it was because I was stressed out running my business, helping all these other women lose the weight, listening to their stories, and it was affecting me, right? And then on top of that, I was getting my personal training certification, still being a mom of 4, right? And then like putting together meal plans and workout plans and all these things. And it was just a stressful time for me. And I think I was hosting challenges and everything, right? And I literally gained 30 pounds because I was connecting eating to that, right? To my stress, right? Because I didn't realize this, but when I worked a lot, like throughout my life, whenever I would be doing a lot of work, whether it be homework as a kid or, creating a presentation or something, or in college, like when I was doing my master's or when I was working in corporate America, like leading board meetings and stuff like that, I would I would eat as a part of all of these things. And so when I was doing that, when I was in that stressful time in my business, I was eating as a part of it. And like I'd be doing some work and it was just what I did, right? Gain some weight back. If I'd had a process or like a strategy around trauma or stress, I would have been able to avoid that, right? So having a way to deal with that stress is super important on a weight loss journey, because you don't want to be sitting here especially if you're new to this journey, right? Even if you've been doing it for like 6 months and had some great success, now stress happens, right? So let's say during the stress, you're still exercising, you're still eating on plan, you're still doing what you're supposed to do, but the stress is so high and your cortisol levels out the roof or whatever. Is that out the roof? To the sky? Your cortisol levels is real high, right? And you're not losing any weight. In fact, you might even be gaining weight. It's crazy. I will tell you that happened to me. And I gained weight and it was so hard. And I'm like, I'm eating on plan. I'm exercising. I'm doing all the things. I'm even doing like some mindset work, but I wasn't doing enough. I didn't have a real plan to manage stress and major trauma in life. And so I ended up gaining a bunch of weight. And so then I finally created something and started losing the weight again. But if I had a plan like I have now around stress and trauma, if I had something like that when I was on this journey, then the weight would have never come back. So I recommend creating a plan for when stress comes, when trauma comes, so that you can manage your cortisol levels. Because whether you're managing it with supplements, maybe supplements are as a part of that plan, or if it's just like knowing how to manage your mindset, getting into extra yoga classes, whatever it is for you, right? I will tell you, for me, What helps me manage my cortisol levels is keeping up with my exercise, so consistently doing it, and getting outside in fresh air. So actually, like, literally getting outside into nature and things like that, and just like appreciating what's there. That helps me so much. Swimming is a big one for me for managing my cortisol levels. Spending time with my kids, meditating, prayer. Like, I have a whole process that I do to manage my cortisol levels, right? Especially during really tough times. And I wish I'd had that then, because then I wouldn't have dealt with the 30 pounds in 2018 or the 50 pounds last year, right? Which, you know, really tough times. And I literally had the reason I know that it was my cortisol, I had my cortisol level measured, right? Measured like throughout the day, not just like a one-time measurement. And they were like, your levels are through the roof. We haven't seen levels this high. No one's levels should be this high. Like, they wanted me to take like medication and all this other stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I literally created a plan then, and then I had my cortisol levels tested again, and they weren't nearly as high. But it's because I created a plan understanding what I needed to do. So that's super important. I wish I'd known that before, definitely before I gained the 50 pounds, but even before I had gained that 30 pounds. I mean, thank God I lost the 30 pounds, but I'm still working on that 50 now, because now I'm managing my cortisol levels again and having to literally, I mean, it almost felt like starting over because of it. You don't want to get there where you have to start over because you didn't create a plan to measure your cortisol, or a plan to manage your cortisol levels and trauma stress reactions, right? So that is literally like my top suggestion of all these things that I wish I knew prior to losing 120 pounds. That is number one. So I hope that helps someone out there. Let's get going on this journey. If you need some extra help, if you're like, I need that accountability, that support, the guidance, the community, go to IlikaPollette.com. You can always join the newsletter. I always send out, tips and strategies. And I also have guests come and speak or send tips and things like that as well. And then of course in our community, we share a lot, and we have guests come and speak and stuff. So hope that helps, and I'm wishing you much success in your journey. I'll see you guys in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, and also go to IlikaPollette.com. All right, let's stay connected and let's get healthy together. Talk to you soon.
Don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to watch my mom's next video.